Hi everyone, how's it going? In just about 10 minutes' time, the winner of the International Booker Prize is going to be announced. This is the first time they've done an online announcement. This is a few months after the winner was supposed to be announced. I think they delayed it because they wanted to have a live big ceremony, but obviously that's not going to happen this year. I think for the rest of the year, there's not going to be any big group activities. This is the first time they've done a winner's announcement online. And so they're going to do it on their YouTube channel and Facebook page. So I thought it'd be fun to film a reaction video while I'm watching it, and then we can just all join in the excitement together, because I'm very eager to hear who's going to win, because I've now read the entire shortlist. I certainly had enough time to read the whole list. And so quickly before the announcement is made, I want to give a few thoughts about who I'm hoping is going to win, and before the actual announcement is made. So the last book I read was The Enlightenment of the Greengage tree, which I absolutely adored. This is such a immersive story about a family that is caught in the Islamic Revolution in 1979 in Iran, and how they try to evade this new pervading force in the country and move to a rural area, but how they just all get caught up in it in different ways. But the way she explains this story is through this kind of magical story of where they get involved as sort of spirits. I mean, the novel is narrated by a ghost of a daughter of the family, and another daughter of the family turns into a mermaid, and so lots of sort of fantastical things happen, but then there are also real life consequences which are portrayed, which is such a, I think, artful way of telling the story, and how they're preserving their culture as well as owning their own stories in caught up in these larger political events. I really enjoyed this, and I think it has a very good shot of winning. I've been listening to and talking with other people online about who might win the prize today, and a lot of people are rooting for this and think it's a very likely winner. And the other very likely winner, and the other one that I really hope might win, is Hurricane Season, which is a novel that just completely entranced me, and that I've still been thinking about after I read it earlier this year. And I'd be very happy for either two of these books to win. Next on the list, that I would be very happy if The Memory Police won, and is interesting because I was talking with my friend Jackie about this today, because I read Yoko Ogawa's novel way back in November, but my friend Jackie, she read it in the past 6 months after lockdown happened, and I think this novel would take on a very different resonance for me if I read it during this time, because it's a dystopian story about how things start being made illegal and disappearing from a community, and how I think that would have such a different resonance during this time when we're all locked at home, and lots of things that we're used to in our everyday life are just disappearing. And so I think a reread of this would be very poignant at the moment. So I would be I think it's such an artful and like almost philosophical novel, but also tells a really engaging story. And also I'd be happy for Tyll to win, because I just really enjoyed this very rich historical story, which also sort of tips into the fantastical. But the novels that I'd probably be a bit disappointed if they won are The Adventures of China Iron and The Discomfort of Evening. And it really surprises me, because these are two novels that I expected to really enjoy when I first read about them, and just sort of on the outside they seem like novels that I would absolutely love, and I just ended up being a bit disappointed by them. I thought they were very interesting in the way that they were told, and they're both good writers, but with The Adventures of China Iron, it just sort of the way the story was told just didn't jibe with me, especially towards the end of the book, and I just wasn't all that into it. And then The Discomfort of Evening, I just felt it sort of missed the mark for me. And I thought it was poignant at some moments, the way the author explored grief, but then at other moments it felt a bit clumsy and haphazard and was just more for shock value than for the value of the book. So yeah, I'd be quite happy if either for these won, but I guess if I had to pick an absolute winner, I would want to go with Hurricane Season. I think it's probably just my favorite of the lot. I think it's absolutely extraordinary, and yeah. So I'm gonna go onto their channels now, and I might have to edit this a bit because I don't know how live it's all gonna be. I mean, sometimes their events start later than I think, and then or it may go on for a full hour, and so probably you wouldn't want to watch the entire video with me when you could just watch it on their channel. So yeah, I'm gonna try to find it now, and to get into the celebration of the evening, I'm gonna do that very English thing, the most English of cocktails, have a Pimms, and because I'm so classy, I'm gonna have it in a can. So I'm gonna crack this open and look onto their YouTube page and see if we can follow the prize. So it's yeah, it's 7 minutes away. So I'm just gonna do that thing of sitting here and keep refreshing, and hopefully the video will pop up and I'll be able to watch it live and give my live reaction. So here we go, cracking into this. Yee. Refresh, refresh, refresh. Ooh, I found their video. The sort of waiting room for it. There's a countdown timer, and there are 48 people here waiting with me. I just realized my head is really cut off making this video. Sorry about that. This isn't my usual place that I set up to make videos. Let's see if we can adjust this a bit. That's better, isn't it? I have a whole head. I should just say too, like, the overall quality of these books is really excellent, and actually for the whole long list. And you know, I'm sort of tougher on these books than I normally would be, I think, if I was just reading them outside the context of the prize, but because they're being held up as the best international fiction that are published in English, then, you know, I'm just sort of holding them to a higher standard. And also, I should say, speaking of the long list, you know, one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year, that I did finally finish reading this year, was The Eighth Life. And wait, let me get my coffee. Okay, here it is, this big giant beauty. Such a fantastic story, and I was so surprised that this didn't make the shortlist for this year's prize. I think it really should have, but you know, I wasn't one of the judges. It wasn't my decision. Just a couple minutes now. Drumming my fingers. There are now 117 people waiting, so, you know, why not get in on the action and start interacting? I'll post in the comments, put my support for Hurricane. Oh, shoot. I posted it too early. I can't type. I swear I'm not drunk already. Yay. There, finally. It's great to see other people are rooting for Hurricane Season 2. Should probably make sure my sound is up, shouldn't I? Get your pom-poms out.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 2020 International Booker Prize winner announcement. Brought to you this year, not from the Roundhouse, but appropriately enough for an international prize, from various locations around the world, including my back garden. Thank you for joining us today for what is going to be a unique International Booker Prize celebration and winner announcement. This evening you're going to meet the Booker Prize Foundation new chair, Mark Damazer, hear from the administrator of the prize, Fiammetta Rocco.
Yay, I love Fiammetta.
Judges. The chair is Ted Hodgkinson.
Yay, Ted.
The judges, Lucy Campos, Jennifer Croft, Valeria Luiselli and Jeet Thiel. Not forgetting the culmination of the evening, of course.
This is so weird. I'm watching the video in my screen, but it's also there, so.
It's my huge pleasure first to introduce you to Mark Damazer, who is the chair of the Booker Prize Foundation.
Of course, this ceremony is somewhat different in its nature to the previous 10. But we have, even so,
why didn't they hold it in my library?
This aspect of the virus to the ground.
I love how somebody's commented, "Go anonymous translator."
The International Booker is a vivid reminder of the obvious, that storytelling is not a gift of any one language, nor any one culture, nor for that matter, any single way of experiencing the world, and that readers are best served when they are given access to the best of literature in any number of other languages. I remember reading as a teenager, and over the course of one summer, the collected works of Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And much later in life, Vasily Grossman's Life and Fate, with its wonderful Robert and Elizabeth.
I just got a book by Vasily Grossman recently.
It is my desert island book. If not, I concede a particularly cheerful one. One of the
I love when people talk about their personal favorites.
Booker is that it fully recognises the role of the translator. Translators are too often overlooked. They not only are the people who have the language toolkit, but they bring their own.
I wonder which books actually name the translator on the cover. Are there any? Oh, yeah, Tyll does.
Impact enlarged. And even if you don't speak a foreign
Oh, and so does The Adventures of China Iron. The rest don't, I think.
I'm now going to hand you over to Fernanda Rocco. She is the administrator of the International Booker Prize, and she is at the Horniman Museum and Gardens, and she's going to tell us about the judging process in this, of course, rather unusual year, and to present this year's inspiring shortlist.
The International Booker Prize is a unique endeavour. It's open to any work of fiction written in any language and published over the previous year in English, in Britain or in Ireland. Prize of £50,000 for the winner is shared equally between the author and translator. The 5 judges, led by Ted Hodgkinson, have been on
There's multiple votes for the Memory Police too.
Booker Prizes are unusual among literary awards. All the judges read all the books. There is no triage, no dividing up the work to lighten the load.
That is a lot of books.
Focus is entirely on the merits.
Big commitment for every judge.
No fear, no favour, and no nod to commercial pressure or popular appeal.
I don't know if you've seen Ted Hodgkinson's pictures that he's posted on Twitter of the piles of books and all of the notes he's made in those books. It's filled with tabs. It's amazing.
Shortlist of 6 books. They weighed up literary ambition, skill, and inventiveness. They debated the merits of the quiet voice against the masters of the pyrotechnics. And this year, more than ever before, they teased out the distinction between books that are timely and books that are timeless. And finally, just a few days ago, they chose their winner. Book that is like no book you've ever read.
What's it gonna be?
Before we tell you which one it is, there is a series of short
Tell us
about each of the 6 titles on the shortlist.
Okay. It's good to review them all.
The Enlightenment of the Greengage tree is about a 5-member of a family who lives in Tehran, capital city, and their life changed immediately after the Islamic Revolution unwantedly. The youngest girl of the family is died in the revolution event, and the family gets so upset that they stop their ordinary life and their activities. So the ghost of the girl, her name is Bahar, she appeared to the family to help them to cope the situation, and also she narrates the story.
I missed not having the shortlisted author readings where each of the authors would read a section of their book in the original language.
This work is also what made it most challenging. Persian is,
Elizabeth
practically by
McGovern.
nature, a very poetic language, and Shokoofeh's style of writing really capitalized on that in a unique way.
To say Elizabeth McGovern because she's in Downton Abbey. I always do this impression of Elizabeth McGovern where it says his lordship would be very disappointed.
Llevado por el ejército. Podríamos decir secuestrado. La palabra legal es llevado por la leva.
And I do have to say I really enjoyed this story. It's a very enjoyable novel to read. It's just, it didn't, parts of the story just didn't jive with me.
In the characters, in the adventures of China Iron. I know that within translation and among translators and publishing, there's quite a lot of talk of kind of fidelity and being faithful to the original. And I felt that the most kind of the sort of strongest bond I felt was actually with the characters and to do them justice.
I wonder what had 2 translators. That'd be something I'd be interested to ask.
In so many different ways. We got to translate metrical poetry, and I'm a bit of a nerd, as Iona will tell you, about translating metrical poetry,
maybe
rhyming
that's why,
poetry in verse. And it's not everyone's cup of tea doing that, but when I saw there was that in this novel, I thought, wow, I get the chance to do this as well.
Zu Petrus, dem Torwächter, zum Evangelisten Johannes,
Promise I won't get drunk before the end of this video. I'm
I'm
a real lightweight.
It is about the 30 Years' War, which means it is about war. What war means, what it does to the world, what a total meltdown of civilization for reasons of partisanship and religious anger, what that looked like when it happened. And it is about the power of art and the power of Jester to be resilient and to live through very dark times.
There's lots of fantastical elements in all these different novels.
Hurricane Season is a novel about the murder of a witch in a very small village in the southeast of Mexico. It's a story that tells the particularities of a region that I really care about. It's also exploration of what's the darkest corners of the human soul.
The language is just explosive. I mean, it just comes off the page and it just completely gripped me, this story.
I think one of the things that I appreciated about Fernanda's book was the way that she confronts writing about violence, the reality of violence. She doesn't shy away from it.
It's very brutal.
It's not a kind of glorification of violence. It's not gratuitous, although it's very explicit. What I like is that how she slowly taps into the psychologies of those who are not the victims necessarily of the violence, but also the perpetrators of it. I sort of feel that we are quite numbed in general on a sort of day-to-day level from all the images that we see of the horrors really that go on around the world, and in particular in Mexico where the novel is set.
There we go.
最初に消え去ったものは何だったのだろうと時々私は考える。あなたが生まれるずっと昔、ここにはもっといろいろなものがあふれていたのよ。透き通ったものやいい匂いのするものやひらひらしたものやつやつやしたもの。
I love being able to hear stories in the original language.
There's a kind of a building sense of dread throughout the novel. There are moments that are particularly tense, so it remains kind of very placid, at least on the surface level, but underneath it needs to be ratcheted up, and so that was kind of challenging, I think. The fact that it's received so much attention is partly just the nature of translation. Different works, when they're refracted into a different culture in a different time, in a different moment, take on different meanings. Particularly, it landed at a moment in the US in particular when people were feeling that their relationship to truth, their access to truth with the current political administration was more and more fraught. And so this is a novel where a totalitarian state is asking people to believe things that simply aren't true. And I think that resonated particularly strongly in the summer with American readers in particular.
It's so powerful how it does that.
It
could have a good chance.
Taking off my coat. That morning, Mum had covered us one by one in other ointment to protect us from the cold. It came out of a yellow Bocona tin and was normally used to prevent dairy cows' teeth from getting cracks, calluses and cauliflower-like lumps. En overlijdt en we volgen eigenlijk het boek volgt Jas, hoofdpersoon, vanaf het begin. En je zit echt in haar hoofd.
Wow, lots of people cheering for this author now.
What makes the book really stand out is the amazing poetic language, and that was the most pleasurable to translate. Obviously, as a translator, you look for well-written novels. That's the ideal kind of work you want, and so this was one of those. It's quite a dark book. It's about children who have lost a brother, and the family is descending into a very bad state of emotional neglect, and there's an older brother who's quite cruel to animals, but also to his siblings. And that's quite hard because you read the book over and over again when you're translating it, and it really gets under your skin.
Can imagine, must have been.
Congratulations to the shortlisted authors and translators, each of whom
Here we go.
will receive £1,000.
Yay.
Fiammetta, thank you. What an incredibly inspiring shortlist. You know, whether it's national histories, legend, folklore, or personal trauma which shape the lives of the characters in these books, it's the power of storytelling that we need now more than ever. Now, without further ado, I am going to hand over to this year's Chair of Judges, Ted Hodgkinson, to announce the winner of the 2020 International Booker Prize.
Chairing the International Booker Prize was always going to be an experience of a lifetime. This year, of all years, has felt like several lifetimes rolled into one. And I'm so grateful to have had such dream companions for this reading journey.
Oh. Can you imagine sitting in that room or being on that Zoom call as they're discussing them all?
The best fiction roots us in the irreducible truth of another life and returns us to our own with a renewed sense of wonder at the strange and shimmering lot of humanity. Against this extraordinary backdrop, we were looking for fiction that goes beyond echoing the dystopian world we all now seem to inhabit. Fiction that, even and especially now, possesses a timeless charge. Fiction bold enough to burst the banks of the novel itself and upend mythic foundations in order to unsettle and elate us.
Is he giving a hint?
Fiction fiercely committed to rendering the epic and the everyday with a singular intensity in translations that answer the call of that artistic challenge with integrity and precision. Set ourselves an immense task in selecting one winner from these 6 superb contenders. And I want to say again how much my fellow judges and I found to admire in the work of these exceptional authors and translators.
Is it going to be?
In a virtual meeting that lasted nearly 5 hours, we delved deeply into our readings and rereadings and emerged collectively with a deserving winner. In truth, this book astounded us all when we first encountered it early in the judging process, and our fascination has only deepened on a second and third rereading. An act of translation that demanded the highest level of sensitivity to render such a distinctive and poetic perspective. This is a novel of undeniable force by a writer of thrilling talent and ability.
It is?
An unflinching look at the underbelly of family life. A tender and visceral evocation of the strangeness of a childhood caught between shame and salvation. I am delighted to announce that the winner of the 2020 International Booker Prize is The Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Rijneveld, translated by Melchor.
Well, there's egg all over my face. Wow. Oh, I'm so shocked.
I had the really happy task of joining this call to tell you the news
that
you've won the International Booker Prize.
It's lovely to see their reactions. Wow.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it's a sim call where he told them. Wow. Gosh.
I've got to tell you this news.
Oh.
And I wish I could be there in person to tell you, but the judges and I were absolutely astounded by the book from early in the judging process, and our fascination with it has just deepened every time we've returned to it. It's such a deserving winner, and I'm really, really thrilled to be able to tell you.
Oh my god.
It's speechless.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, yes.
Maybe I should reread it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's so much about it that it's just a debut novel. Like, they're going to be such an interesting writer. I'm looking forward to reading their second and third books, but I just felt like there are parts of this that were quite clunky.
Translations open up windows onto other worlds, allowing us to see into other places and other people's minds.
Now, when it is no longer possible to travel like we used to, now we should travel by reading books.
Yes.
Each of the books on the shortlist deserve to win. So please don't only read The Discomfort of Evening, but please read them all.
Aww.
I would like to thank the International Booker for bringing translations and translators into the limelight. And I would like to thank Marieke for coming on this journey with me, as well as the editors and publicists at Atlas Contact and Faber and Faber. A book is never written or translated alone.
Wow, I hope that you'll agree that's been a fantastic
There we
night.
go.
Thanks to Ted, and the first of many congratulations to this year's winners.
Especially read Hurricane
Marieke,
Season.
Lucas, Rijneveld and Michelle Hutchison for
I'm
The Discomfort of Evening. Thank you
a
to
bit
you for tuning in.
disappointed in that. Just, it's the book I least wanted to win out of this great long list of books. But, yeah, I just, I feel like the Memory Police or Hurricane Season or the Enlightenment of Greengage Trees should have won, personally, in my opinion. But that's just how it goes with prizes. You don't always get the one that you were expecting or wanting to win. Or I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you read Discomfort of Evening? Do you agree with this judge's choice, or did you read another book on the list that you felt really strongly about? Let me know in the comments below. We can have a chat about it. I'm gonna finish my Pimms, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for watching this with me and following on this journey. And, before you know it, it's so late in the year, it's going to be another International Booker Prize season. And in the meantime, we have the giant long list for the main Booker Prize. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'll probably be my least favorite one that'll win for that prize as well. But that's how prizes go. Okay, thank you for watching. Speak to you again soon. Happy reading, everyone.